Hi everyone, welcome back to the 2020 Biz Kickstart event. And we're here with Debbie, who's going to talk to us all about our downtime. So how do we maximize it? How do we get the most benefit out of taking time off? What can we do during our rest periods and all those sorts of things? So, hey Deb, say hey to everyone that's watching and share a little bit about how you got involved with this, how you started helping people with their rest and recovery and taking some downtime.
Hi Mike, hi everybody. I'll just tell you a bit about myself. Born and grew up in Leeds, UK. I did all sorts of office jobs, retrained and did my own gardening business for several years. I got into doing my own gardening round. Then I had two boys, got divorced and ended up on my own trying to run my business, which was largely seasonal. I ended up doing warehouse work during the winter when it was quiet, which was really like walking into prison every day. It was just awful. I hated it. Ended up retraining in support work. And I did that, and I found it to be the social aspect with the guys and staff was really good, but it was quite autonomous at first, and then started bringing management people in, micromanaging everything, and then it was then that my sort of business head came in and like not wanting to be told what to do, things like that. So I retrained in the holistic world, doing massage therapy and life skills, helping people restructure their day. So I did that, and that's how I got into sort of the self-care, realising that you need a balanced kind of day throughout, without you need to deal with all aspects. If you're going on and on with work, you just can't pour from an empty cup. You're going to end up drained. You need time out, and you need a balanced approach to it. So that's how it's
you say that that you've got to structure it as well, because a lot of people might turn around and say, well, I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to take the time out or do all those things, you know, like I take the time out when I'm asleep, and most people don't sleep an awful lot either. So is it something that we've got to structure? Is it something that we've got to make time for? Is it something you feel that we've got to prioritize if we're ever going to take it seriously?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is the problem. It's that we're too busy. A lot of people have told me that they just can't switch off. The mind is just ticking and ticking all the time. There's all sorts of things going through the brain. Some people, if they're really busy, they just don't see the value. It's like, I'll be fine, I can just carry on. And then there's a guilt and shame aspect of it, especially a lot of people over Christmas. I've had a downtime day, just slobbed in front of the TV, and how many times have people after that thought, yeah, I shouldn't have really done that. It's been a kind of waste of a day. Instead of restructure it and give yourself actual permission. If you say, I am going to block out X amount of time, and this is my time, and I need to recharge my batteries. And if that means switching off in front of the telly, just watching that, then that's absolutely fine. So,
It seems as well like it's a crazy situation when you mention guilt as well, because I know a lot of people in quite a similar space. Like, they don't want to take time off, and they should be working. They start almost telling themselves off for taking time out. So as a starting point, I guess you've got to structure it, you've got to prioritize it, but then you've got to be okay with the whole time off. You don't have to beat yourself up to really make it work. You know, the amount of people that do beat themselves up is, I imagine that being quite high. Is there anything that you've suggested for people that can overcome that?
Well, it's definitely a mindset to have it scheduled in for your day. So, and a lot of people now advocating sort of micro minutes of, say, exercise. If everyone thinks an hour's exercise in the gym 3 times a week or 5 times a week is just puts you off straight away. So they'll say, have a 5-minute jog on the spot when you get time, schedule it in, do press-ups for 5 minutes and have those interspersed throughout your day. So that's sort of the current movement that acknowledges time is so precious, and people just get totally put off by having to block out these things. A lot of them is, it's like exercises, things that we may feel we ought to do, but we don't really want to do. So it's getting exercises that don't seem like exercises. If you look back and you think in childhood you liked football, do a 5-a-side, join a 5-a-side team. Mm-hmm. If you like rock climbing or you think you want to give it a go, then you're ticking off lots of boxes. If you join a club and train up, you're getting social aspect, you're getting the exercise, you're learning a skill. So it doesn't have to be, right, I'm doing this one thing. It can tick off several aspects of your life. And I think that is what it comes down to, is how you feel fulfilled and how you feel content with your productive time and your downtime, and how it just makes you feel that you've done something and you've achieved something at the end of the day.
Yeah, sure. What I like as well is you brought up the whole idea of the being productive and then taking the time off. It's almost like if you are productive, if you do tick things off, or you do the work, if you will, then I know that when I have like very, very productive days, I have no problem taking time off. But I don't feel any pressure. There's no guilt there. There's no, oh, come on, you've got plenty of work that you could or should be doing. There's the whole relief around, I've done the best that I can, so I'm more inclined to take the time off. So it's almost like you've got to come at it from a few angles, haven't you? You mentioned the social aspect as well, which I do want to touch on, but how important is it that people are actually productive with their switched on time so that they feel okay with taking the time off? How important would you say that was?
Yeah, I think it's very important. And then it's kind of, if you're in a new business or you're switching to full time, self-employed, it can be that it's hard to switch off. It's hard to make that definition. And then if you carry these things into, when I started my business full time, I was constantly absolutely switched on to it all the time. It was all I ever thought about, and from waking up to going to bed, things would pop into my mind. And having your phone there, it's easy to Google stuff day or night, whatever you are. Oh, I need to think about this, I need to think about that. So I found that trying to switch off an active mind, a lot of people struggle with that. And I would say you need to visualise that all the aspects in your business are taken care of up to that point. If you've got any loose ends that you feel need tying up, then if you know that they're going to come up like in the middle of the night, you can start worrying about them. Then maybe block out time to tackle them and get them put to bed. People going about having to-do lists that help. I also find having have-done lists can help, because I always think about in the middle of the night, have I done this? If there's something important, or have I locked up at work? Have I done this and the other? Have I given somebody that email? So if you write down what you have done so that you can assure yourself, then you're less likely to impact into your free time and impact into your sleep that way.
That's a good idea. I like that, the whole extra list element of have I done, because a lot of people do recommend journaling, don't they? But I've noticed that depending on, should we say, how much you've got to write, that can take up a fair amount of time depending on how you do it. But I like the list format, might speed things up for sure. You mentioned the social aspect of things like rock climbing and sports clubs and all those things. Is the social element important when it comes to the whole taking time out and recharging?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, nobody lives in total isolation, and it's going to vary for some people. Some people love to be connected to people day in, day out, all day, every day. Some people might go to a party for a couple of hours on the weekend and that's it. They're quite happy with their own time for a lot of the rest of the week. So, but it is important, and it's important how you socialise. If you spend time doing your duty, if that's how it feels, to visit family or make commitments that is not really about you, it's not something that makes you feel good about yourself, then we all have to do that to some extent, but you need to make sure that you do socialising that is going to benefit you, that is a positive impact and makes you feel good around people, that make you feel that you've had a productive day with your downtime. So yeah, like sports and things is a good example of that, team sports.
Cool. What about because a lot of people do tend to mention things like, well, just taking time away from the screen can be enough. I mean, I know that from my own experience, just not looking at my phone for an hour or two can make the world of a difference. I feel so much better without technology there all the time. It only has to be half an hour, which to some people can be a long time. But is technology playing a part in our ability to switch off?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's a lot of exposure to all sorts of different aspects and people that come into your life. It's like being on call 24/7 if you're not careful. If people start messaging you late at night, they do recommend having an hour, 90 minutes clear time from electrical devices before bed. So yeah, it is, you're getting all sorts of information thrown at you. So to try and take downtime from that and take time away can just help you settle your mind. Getting out in nature is a great way to just switch off and get back into a more natural environment. I think it's great to get out and engage your senses. If you go out on a walk, I went today, there was a little bit of sun today, so I got out and you just hear the birds, and you get, because we're still animals at the end of the day, it awakens you to the depth perception of your senses instead of being like a TV and the sound is just coming at you, all one dimensional. If you go out and there's birds and things happening all around you, you can see different things, smell different things, smell the flowers. If you like, you can feel feel the stone walls, feel the leaves. You could really get tactile. Some people do like forest bathing, where they go and immerse themselves and on a nice sunny day, just spend time sitting in the forest, and that really can help with like getting back to nature, just getting back to your peaceful core. And quiet time is something that we do seem to all be in deficit with at the moment. Hence, people do meditation and all things like that just to reset the mind.
What are your thoughts on things like meditating? I know we touched on the lists and journals and things before, but what are your thoughts on meditation? Is that something that you think can help people? Do you meditate? Have you got clients that meditate? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I experiment with meditation, and sometimes it can be really powerful just to connect back to yourself and just feel tranquil and in control. You can focus your mind, or you can just free it and let it roam and just acknowledge thoughts, but not get wrapped up. So it really is something that is good to practice. And the more you practice, the easier it gets. I know when I first started, I could feel sort of every twinge in my body. It seems to heighten it. So it's really developing your skill set with the meditation. You can access and do a body scan and see how your body is responding. You can find that you can do a scan of your head and you'll feel, oh, actually, yeah, there is lots of tension in my face, in my jaw, and which you don't realise. So it's all awareness and mindfulness as well.
No, it's interesting. It's interesting how you can figure out where all your tension is as well, because I imagine that might play into someone's ability to switch off, someone's ability to really switch off from things and then switch on again. Because if you're holding, I know I hold tension in my neck and my back as well. They're the two main spaces where I tend to hold a lot of my attention. Used to be in my legs, but it's sort of shifted since I've started sort of obviously adjusting how I do things. But I've noticed that can play a part as well, like how the physical way that you feel can impact how you feel mentally as well. Is that something that you can speak to? Like what's your take on how the body feels versus how your mind feels?
Yeah, definitely. It's if you get into a stress state, then it affects you physically and mentally. You're going to perhaps have palpitations and just anxiousness, and that transmits through to the body as well. So long-term stress can cause all sorts of health conditions as well, diabetes and heart complaints. So it really is, the first thing is to be aware of how your body is and your mindset as well, and to tackle those things first of all. Recognising that, being mindful to recognise, if you recognise and aware of how your body is and how your mind is, and sometimes if you know that your mind's starting to drift off into a place that you don't want it to go, you can bring it back, having the tools to do that, the deep breathing, meditation, journaling, all these things.
It does give the impression, Deb, that this is that you can't just pick one. You can't just pick one thing and run with it. It's a full system. It's almost like a full way of being. Like this is the way that you've got to be when you switch off. These are certain things that you've got to do. I found as well, I mean, we're going to touch on this later, but I found that, because I am actually diabetic as well, that if I have a good night's sleep, that changes everything. If I sleep really well, that can change absolutely everything. I don't eat as much. I don't feel any cravings anywhere near as much as I used to. I mean, granted, I'm never like hyper or anything, but as you may know, that's a bad thing for us diabetics anyway. But the more that I focus on my sleep, that can change a whole heap of stuff for me. So I can definitely attest to the whole stress impacting how you feel and your actions as well. I know I eat worse when I'm stressed out compared to when I'm not. So there is a whole element of it does link together. Everything does link together. You can't just you can't just meditate and pray that all of your symptoms are going to go away. You can't just pick one thing and go like, that's going to change everything. You've got to pick a lot of different things before you can find out which combination will work best. Is it about trying to find what works best for you as well? Because I know that I used to be okay with meditating, but then I realized that it didn't suit me as much as it used to. It didn't really, I don't know, it's something that I wasn't enjoying. I wasn't enjoying the process. I didn't like the whole, I felt a little bit anxious to start it. I didn't enjoy doing it. And then afterwards it was like, right, ready for the next one. So I didn't really enjoy the whole meditating side. The whole meditating side of it, but I do have clients that love it. So it is something that's not for me, but that doesn't mean I don't help people with it that do need the help. Is it about finding out what works best for you? Because I know that some things that work for me that other people might be like, not really my thing. Is it a personal thing?
Yeah, it really is. It's experimenting, finding out what your preferences are. And it's all about feeling good about yourself and feeling good about what you've done and that it's been valuable to you. I had, they do say don't use your phone before bed. There was one time when I'd earlier only just started my business and I had absolutely full of business and things. And I played Candy Crush for half an hour before bed and I had a brilliant night's sleep. And I realised like just doing something as inane as that just really settled my mind down. So lots of people do say like do crossword puzzles and Sudoku, things like that, reading stuff that's going to be maybe fiction, not stimulating your mind. So all these things are just tools to try and get that enables you to relax. And then, of course, there's TV, radio, things like that. Everybody seems to like, oh, TV is a bad thing, but it's still obviously hugely popular. It's not going to go away anytime soon. So, and if you're not watching TV, you might be watching something on your phone instead. You get Netflix or whatever to your phone. So it's just feeling what is good for you. If you enjoy the soaps and want to watch the soaps for like 2 or 3 times a week, then just accept that feels good for you, and it's just not going through the guilt and shame. Oh, I shouldn't really be doing this because people say don't waste your time on TV. If that's of benefit to you, if that feels good, then that's your preference. You go for it.
Yeah, I like the way that you said that it doesn't really matter what other people do as long as it is what works for you. I think the whole guilt around it can be difficult for some people, can't it? It can be difficult to say, well, I go for walks to relax. And some people go, what, you walk to relax? Surely just having a quick nap is enough. So it might be, but I'm not someone that, I find it really hard to sleep during the day. So if the sun's out, that's it. I'm up. I'm bouncing around. I'm one of those people. I can't unless I'm really tired. I have slept during the day. I do naps sometimes, but It's generally if I need it. Like, I can't turn around and go, okay, 10 minutes, I'm going to have a nap. I can't quite operate that way. But there are people out there that can, and I'm actually quite glad that they can. They're able to do it because it works for them, and they're able to switch off and do have that sort of rhythm where they can do that. I have my days when I wish I could, and I just can't seem to sleep. But I think it is more about that, isn't it? Because it's like, well, I don't like people finding out that I like to do this instead of that, and everyone I've openly said today that I can't meditate. I don't personally enjoy it, but there are millions of people that will probably go, how come you don't meditate? And well, I would rather go for a walk. I'd rather go for a walk rather than lying there trying to sleep, or lying there shouting at myself because I can't meditate properly. Like, I'd rather just go for a walk. Like, it saves time because I'm not lying there trying to sleep. I'm actually going out for a walk, and I can listen to music, I can listen to podcasts, I can do a whole heap of stuff while I go for this walk, and it still manages to do some element of reset at the same time. So that's why I do it. It doesn't have to be every day. It could be every other day. Sometimes it might be twice a day. So it completely depends on the day. And going back to what you said before, Deb, that I've also structured my days that way. So getting back to the whole, I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to do that. Okay, well, you can structure it if you have to. You can structure your day to allow for 2 walks. Or, I mean, I know there's some people out there that are a bit like me, they're getting outside is something that they have to do. Like, it feels so much better just by going outside. One of the reasons why I moved abroad was so that I could go outside every day if I wanted to. If I felt the pull of, I've got to get outside, then I do it. It's one of those things. I mean, some people can't take that drastic a measure, and I understand that, but I think it does come back to, if it is a priority and it's something that you want to do, you'll make the time for it. I've found that people that do make the time for it. I know you're a big advocate for having regular massages, Deb. So I think, is it something that people can outsource? Because I know massage is a big part of what you do yourself. It doesn't have to be like little things, does it? You can do bigger things to help with your own sort of recovery as well, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, very popular is spa days, weekends away, detox weekends and retreats, all of which can intersperse if you schedule them throughout the year. Decide I need this time off, so I'm going to block out a day. I'm going off to this spa or this cycling weekend, whatever you prefer. And that can work really well. It's all individualistic, so if you want to, whatever feels good for you will be just as good, whichever. So it's really is having a balance of needing to relax and switch off, the social aspect, the exercise, and having quiet time, and also a purpose. So having something that's meaningful to yourself. We did touch on about exercise and doing rock climbing and all sorts of things. I think it is quite pressured on social media these days that people see everybody going out sailing, mountain climbing and things, and so there is a pressure that we need to live up to that aspect, but it might be just joining a local darts club, might be just going out to socialise with friends, having a coffee. It's all of value if it ticks those boxes for yourself.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, it seems a very personal thing, I suppose, and I guess there is that whole whole balancing act of finding out what works for you, getting rid of what doesn't work or what stops working. And one of the things that also I think would be helpful for people as well is it being easy to do. So if we take the sports club as an example, depending on what sport it is, can be easy or difficult to get that sort of benefit. So if you play a team sport that only meets up once a week, then that's once a week. If you play for a team that might train 3 times a week, go for morning runs, as you sort of go up the as you go up the levels, if you will, in terms of your sport, then the commitment's bigger, right? Like if you play for a reasonably high up sports team, you've got training sessions, you've got technical sessions, you've got nights out for team building, all those kinds of things. Just let's say you're a pretty good football player, soccer, for those of you that aren't based in the UK. If you play for a decent football team, you might train 2 or 3 times a week and then train together like in the gym or something once or twice a week. And it's a good way of getting that fixed, I suppose. But if not, if you only play socially once a week, then it's a little bit more difficult. You've got to go out there and do more things, I suppose. So how important is the convenience element and how easy it is to do it? Because I know from talking to people about this, that convenience tends to be king with these things. Like if it's difficult to get somewhere or it takes too long to get somewhere, then they've got a reason to not do it.
Yeah, that's it. And it comes down to your drive and willingness. So this is where the purpose comes in. If you realise that you're passionate about something, then you're going to put more effort into getting somewhere and committing to, say, a full sports regime. Or I used to do the Cub Scouts. I was assistant Cub Scout leader, and that was pack nights, weekends away, doing training and meetings beforehand and during the summer holidays. So it encompasses a lot more than just an odd pack night once a week. So it entirely depends on your drive and what you get back from that. You need the feedback from an activity, just have that feeling. There was Dr. Chatterjee had an example that he discussed in his book, that he had a client that was really depressed in his job, really down, really not happy at all. And then he came back to that he was passionate in his childhood about model train sets. And once he picked that back up and really got back into it, had all his attic done out with his model trains and things, he realised that his problems in business weren't as big because he had balance overall in his life. He had something to look forward to, something that was his passion that really got into. And so then he didn't feel depressed because he could cope, he'd got perspective on his other aspects of his life. So that's just the way that your leisure and downtime can really make a difference.
That's a pretty cool example, actually, because if you think about how we work, I suppose, that if we feel better, if we feel good, then we'll make better decisions, we'll take better actions, we'll think clearer just by feeling better. And it's interesting that you make that link from taking up a hobby to realizing that the stressful things that they were going through weren't that bad, and they were able to think their way out of them. So it's interesting that you make that distinction there as well, Deb. It's a pretty cool example. Before we dive off, I do want to cover sleep. Before we get into questions, I don't think we have anyone live, so you won't have any questions. But I do want to touch on sleep, because that could be people that are watching, that could be their main way of getting downtime. if they've got a job and a business and kids and commitments and clients, and by the time they relax and chill out, it is sleep. Sleep's one of the main ways that people will tend to rest and people will tend to relax. At least in the first instance. Hopefully, people watching this, they might go, "Ooh, I might start doing this as well." So hopefully, people will take some action as a result of this. But what can you tell us about getting the most out of our sleep? So rather than sort of reel off 50 different things, because I'm aware sleep's a minefield.
Yeah.
What would you say the top, we'll go 5. What would you say the top 5 things that we can do to get the most out of our sleep?
To get proper quality sleep, you do need to have like the physical environment set up. Make sure your curtains are blacked out, make sure it's a comfortable temperature, there's no distractions. Make sure that you do stop electrical items. If you're getting poor sleep, you need to really try and not start engaging with people at 9-10 o'clock at night whenever you sleep. Try and reduce stimulants such as caffeine, any other drugs, other things. Alcohol, a lot of people think that alcohol makes them sleep. It can be sedative, but it doesn't produce the quality sleep overall. So, and then maybe do something, this is your chance for quiet time, so have quality quiet time, journaling, get all your thoughts out for the end of the day, gratitude, and really get everything out on paper. Reading is another good one. And then just make it all comfortable, make sure you're relaxed, maybe have a hot bath, have a nice drink, a warm drink, and then settle yourself down and really just have that cosy environment that you feel warm and safe and able to go to sleep.
Awesome. Well, that I know that was a lot more than 5, but it's definitely about, you know, just trying to set the environment up so that it's the best to sleep. So yeah, it's good stuff there. There's a lot. I know I'm sort of looking down furiously, making notes. Is there anything that you would like us to cover before we finish? Is there anything that you can think of that you might wish that we'd covered if we were to stop the recording? So anything that you want to end on?
I think we've covered a lot here today and gone into various aspects, but I'd like to sort of emphasise that it is good to get a balance of things, whatever's individual for you. And if you're feeling pressured, the time pressure, too busy to exercise and things, the current sort of focus is really take 5 minutes while you're boiling the kettle for your tea, jog on the spot, do any little thing, but it all helps to increase your fitness, your health, and that's going to benefit you for your working life as well. It can all these things will impact and improve your actual business health, your own health, which will improve your business and your working mind and your work life.
All right, Deb. Well, it's been great to have you on. If people wanted to find out more about you, where can people learn more?
I'm mostly on Facebook, so you can catch me, Debbie Spink, on Facebook. On Messenger, I can respond quite quickly to messages that come in on there. So that's the best place to catch me. I'm on other social media as well, but Facebook is the main one.
All right, Deb. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you carving the time, and I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
Lovely, thank you.